Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the channel, MC Toon Live. I'm your host, MC Toon, and today we are hoping for a debate. And by hoping, I mean it's pretty sure it's going to happen, at least just a couple minutes ago. The guy, GlobeSlayer, GlobeSlayer, I love it. He said he's ready. So this will be done on X as a space, X formerly known as Twitter, on a space. And on a space on X, you can basically only share voice, audio. You can't really do much else. So whatever. To deal with that, though, I have created a web page with all the evidence that I have. I have even shared it with my opponent. He shared only, I only asked him, I said, I don't care what you send, really. He's like, he gave me the topics. I'm like, he's like, do I need to give links? I'm like, don't mind. I don't need the links. So anyway, I know the topics he's going to be covering. I'm familiar with them. So I will be on the fly responding, as is typically the case, but he wanted some information up front, so we did. So I'll give you that link in a little bit. In the meantime, if you're unfamiliar, a friend in the community, the Triggered Limey, is having some health problems, and I think there will be. I saw that maybe there's going to be a coverage of what's going on Irish Demon's channel. So if you're concerned about that, definitely go to Irish Demon. I don't know exactly when that's happening. Maybe somebody could drop some info in the chat. He is in a medically induced coma at the moment. His mom has gotten onto his some of his social media to communicate to people the situation, at least in some kind of general ways. So if you're concerned about that, Irish Demon is a place to go. Otherwise, I think on the community posts on his YouTube channel has more information as well. So love the Triggered Limey. He's been on my channel before a few times. I've been on his, and it's sad to see this. So I hope that he can pull through, and all the best to him. So, all right, good. The Irish Demon is live about it now. So go there right now. More important than this, if you're familiar with him. So anyway, the Twitter space is to start at 4:30 Central Time. It will be hosted by Sly Sparkane. Now, the very first Flat Earth debunking video I saw was from Sly Sparkane. That's how long he's been around. I've been doing videos for over 5 years. He's been doing them for over 5 years. Let's see. The video was the sun angle measurement that he had done, where he got a bunch of people to measure the angle to the sun on the same day, and plotted it out. And you know what? It matched a globe, and it completely did not match Flat Earth. So that's how long on YouTube Flat Earth has been dead. But in reality, Flat Earth has been dead for infinity years. So, and that grammar was on purpose. Dora Nku says, Tuesday, on an actual Tuesday, what is next? Cats and dogs appearing on the screen at the same time? Well, that has happened. And Jiffy Jiffwald gifted 5 memberships. Thank you for that, Jiffy. Now, you might see right there on the bottom here, I'm doing a little bit of investigation on YouTube gifted memberships, and the numbers I've seen don't match. So be careful with that. But this will be good. I'll check to see if the numbers match for this particular one, Jiffy, and I'll let you know if they don't. So what I have found is that sometimes the amount, so there's a certain amount you just paid, and how much do you expect? Well, YouTube says that 70% will come to me, 30% is what they take, and then multiple people will get memberships. That has not been the case in my my analysis. So just so you know. And one more thing right here, right there, that is Penny. Penny is my co-pilot today. That would be Axis Arkham in the chat. It's his daughter. So right there. Hello, Penny. Everybody say hi to Penny. She's not in the live chat or anything. Sometimes she has to wait until sometime later to watch these. So she's my co-pilot for a while today. Anyway, we've got about 10 minutes until the Twitter space is supposed to be live. I've been in a few Twitter spaces. And you know, I think Twitter is trying to you know, get into the live streaming thing like other places do, and I think Twitter Space is their first entry into that. It needs a lot of work, but you know, the very first live streaming on YouTube needed a lot of work too. So they're working on it. Maybe they'll get to where you can actually, you know, have video and share things and whatever. Twitter, a lot of changes, not Twitter X. A lot of changes have happened there. Tons of changes. It had gotten pretty stale, I thought, you know, no new changes. There was nothing new for a while, and then somebody bought it and then and shook things up. Good and bad. But there's new innovation happening there. So I like that. Hopefully Twitter Spaces stop sucking after a while, but I have done my part to make them not make it not so bad, because I will be showing you on screen all of the stuff that I have, all of my stuff, and if my in the interlocutor does indeed share some evidence, I will put it on screen too. You'll see when it comes up. So thanks for streaming at a sensible time. Well, yeah, I shift my schedule a little bit to do this, but yeah, I do enjoy doing them earlier in the day. Stringing with the One says, thank Titicaca. Just can't stop laughing at that. 10 minutes to Toon time on Twitter or X. I was telling my wife, I said, hey, you know, I was explaining it to her. She goes, you mean X? Because I said Twitter. I'm like, yeah, force a habit. She's like, it's called X. You call it what it is. Oh, yeah, you're right. But it's not tweet. What is it? You can't tweet on X. It's just a post. I mean, tweet was kind of, it was their thing, and now it can't be anymore. So maybe a new name will come about. Mr. United for the Chillwind thinks that X is a terrible name. I don't know. I've got a cough drop if you haven't noticed. I have a little recovering from a little bit of a cold here. I was over the weekend feeling pretty bad. Where was I going? I don't know. X. Oh yeah, X. Why was Elon always so fascinated with X? If you look at some of his old pictures, he's got a X.com thing, like back before he had hair. He had some things, some picture of X.com on a thing he was holding up, like a credit card. So Tyson Dog says, will the Flurf be honest about what threshold of evidence they accept? I vote no, as I've never seen a flat earther be honest about that. No, that's very true. There's another guy on Twitter, Brian Sweet 1970, who while leading up to this debate here has been I've been interacting with him, and he always posts this list of 14 things that he demands that people prove. You know, prove pictures of the Earth from space. Like, this is the hypocrisy, of course. He doesn't have and will never have the analogs for flat Earth, right? All of the things that he says must be provided for the globe, which we can provide, he doesn't have for flat Earth. The other then is the things that he has accepted to think that the Earth is flat. The standard of evidence for it is, you know, down off screen, low. And the things that the standard of evidence for the globe is up, you know, infinitely high. That is the third law of Flurf. They have two different standards of evidence that they employ. So I challenged him. I said, yes, I'll certainly be happy to provide all 14 of those things. And of course, you will provide the analogs for flat Earth. Let's do it next Tuesday. And he said yes. But now he's gotten a little shy, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if he actually comes through with it. I think he's a little yellow, if you know what I mean. Brian Sweet 1970, are you yellow? Can you face me? Can you bring evidence for your belief at the same standard of evidence that you apply to my position? I'm guessing you cannot, and that you won't even accept facing me. You'll find every excuse possible to run away. That's what I think. So all right, we got 4 minutes. I've only ever actually seen a Twitter space after it started. So what's it look like? I have a thing here today that says, here's the Twitter space, but it doesn't actually like show, like I can click it, but I can't do anything. I can't like go to a waiting room or anything. I can, I don't know. I did put I put it in the description, and there's the link to it there if you want to join in the the fun on the Twitter, the X space. Yeah, we got Arshian says measure the equator and tropics and compare their length. Night, flat Earth. Yes. You ask, well, what is the circumference of the Tropic of Capricorn on flat Earth? And you always get, I don't know. That's what they always say. Okay, so you just have a religious belief about it then. You think the Earth is flat, but you don't have any empirical evidence to support it, right? How about photographs of the entire flat Earth? No, you don't have that. How about the guy's like the 14 things? He's like, prove the distance to the sun. Okay, I will definitely provide evidence of measurements of the distance to the sun, and of course, you will provide evidence or measurements of the distance to the sun over flat Earth, right? Right, Brian Sweet 1970? No, of course you won't. You don't have any. You have a blind faith that the sun is doing circles over the flat Earth dirt pizza. You don't have any actual evidence for it. Captain Crunch says, I watched FTFE join one. It was kind of weird starting off, but it eventually worked. You might have to refresh. Oh. Well, I have a separate window, and I have the space. Let's see. I'll show you there. This is what it looks like here. It's down there. That's the portion of the screen that it'll be on, I think. So we'll see. Ace SW says the sun distance under a dome could be calculated with Pythagoras, the Pythagorean theorem. Absolutely. And I've done that for flat Earth from Minnesota. And on the same day, done that for flat Earth from Israel and from Australia. And you get a different elevation for the sun on the same day. How does that happen? Right? That falsifies flat Earth, but they're like, oh, no. They still hold tightly to flat Earth, that belief. They're like, oh, well, obviously that is something is wrong about that, and Pythagorean theorem doesn't apply. Well, why? That's special pleading there, isn't it? So, all right. We've got less than a minute, so we'll see how this goes here. Oh, there we go. Something for work happened. All good there. Let's see. Check a few things. All right. Anyway, then later tonight, I got something. I was, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I do, but look for that particular live chat. Okay. Ooh. At 8 p.m. Central. So 1 second. There we go. All right, now trying to join. There it is. I'm in. Let's see. I'll make it so you can hear. I heard Sly talking.
can. Oh, there we go. Okay, cool. All right, so we're waiting here. Let's see. We got McToon here. Waiting
McToon.
on the
Oh,
other.
is he a flurf?
McToon, I think I changed you to a. Hold on. Oops, no, that didn't do it.
Fix this window there. How's that window look down there? Is that looking good?
So you're supposed to hold it.
So I'm a listener at this point. 14 others are there. So it's a bit like Discord where people can listen in, but they can't talk. So I don't know why being in the room is any better than being,
captions.
Watching live. Professor Parks, PhD, says I can't support a service where Eric Debunking can feel welcome. He's on Facebook. He's on X. He's on YouTube. Busload UK. Love that. It says 2 fish swam into a bar.
Toon, do me a favor. Send me a DM on how I turn somebody from a requested to a actual speaker.
I don't know how. Why do you think I know how?
You'll have to excuse me, guys. This is a platform that I'm completely unfamiliar with, other than the fact that it's just chat. So give me a moment.
All right. I don't know how. I'll tell him. We've got 25 in there. So yeah, you can listen on X when you're in the room, but you can't participate. So it's just like here, right? You guys can all listen to the YouTube live stream, but you can't talk. So.
Okay, hold on a second here.
I think he's laughing because he got my DM. But you can see there's a good number of people there, but there's nowhere to interact. There's like this yeah, that didn't do anything. Let me make sure I get this back here. I think it kicked me out.
Icon and adding the speaker. Adding them as a co-host speaker.
So, geez,
okay. So I was in the right place. Okay, Toon, I believe I just put you in as a co-host and a speaker. You can probably unmute for a check. Oops. Now it turned you into a listener. Hold on.
I think I might have left.
Invite you.
No.
I'll put you in as co-host.
Co-host. Sweet. All right.
Co-host can invite or remove.
There it is. Co-host.
Okay.
I'm also
I just
unfamiliar
put you in
with
as
this.
a co-host instead. And let's see here. Let's see if I can do this. Invite to.
All right. Can you hear me?
Okay, I have one. Who am I hearing?
That's Toon.
Hey, what's up, Toon?
Hey.
All right. I mean, at least all I have to do is mute and unmute people here on this platform. Don't have to worry about presenting stuff. Let's see here. GlobeSlayer. It still has you listed as a listener. Hold on a second.
Yeah, you have to like click accept to accept being that. I didn't know that. It took a second.
If you could enunciate that out loud to what you had to do to GlobeSlayer, because he might not know that. I don't know that.
On the bottom left corner, it said join as co-host or something like that. So that's what I had to click, and then I could come in.
Mm-hmm. There might be something there relative to being a speaker as well, because I just invited him as a speaker. So, greetings, everybody. Just taking a second here. Let me see if there's something else I can click on his.
And Sly,
okay, click on
you are live on my YouTube channel. 466 live viewers there.
Oh, hey! Greetings and salutations, everybody. I've never been on your show, man.
I know
Let's see
that is
here.
a that's tragic. Absolutely.
Well, well, part of it was my fault, but let's see here. But you and I, we've had that discussion.
Yep.
Let's see here. I don't think anybody else, but maybe three people remember that. Let's see. Let me see if I can invite him to speak again. GlobeSlayer, I am trying to invite you as a speaker, and it keeps on having you as a listener.
Mm.
Well, screw it. I'll put you in as a co-host then. Fuck it. I don't care. Invite as a co-host. Send co-host invite. All right. Now you're probably gonna have to look on your phone and accept being a co-host. There you go. GlobeSlayer, mic check, please.
You hear me?
Okay, yes, I hear you a little crunched up. Are you driving?
Is that better?
Yeah, that's a lot better. That's a lot better. Okay, so I got everybody here, and so let's go ahead and just go dive straight into this. I have a little bit of stuff that I'm going to read out here in the beginning here, so everybody is up to speed. Everybody who is listening right now to this on both Toon's channel and on this space itself. Um, just so everybody's aware, a challenge was made to have this debate. GlobeSlayer preferred to do this on Spaces, so that was what was agreed upon. So we'll just go ahead and dive into this. So, um, this is a flat Earth versus globe Earth debate between GlobeSlayer and McToon. If you guys don't know them, GlobeSlayer is a regular here on Twitter, and McToon is both here on Twitter and also has a rather successful channel on YouTube. Let's see. I am Sly Sparkane. I agreed to be the monitor of this debate of words. Um, and so let's just go ahead and get forward on this. First, this is to be a debate where each participant is to support the flat and stationary Earth or the globe Earth. GlobeSlayer has requested that, and both participants agreed, to state their topics prior to the debate, which they both exchanged with me present in a DM. Um, GlobeSlayer, I'm going to read yours off first. GlobeSlayer says that his first talking point is going to be an extensive Aries failure interpretation as indicative of a stationary and moving of a stationary Earth and moving stars. And his second talking point is an extensive refutation of the Foucault's pendulum and its use as rotating Earth proof. And then Toon picks two subjects as well. Toon, his first subject is celestial navigation, using measured angles to the stars and shape and dimension of the Earth to determine location. And his second subject was reciprocal zenith angles between survey locations with a range of distances between stations. Am I correct on both of those subjects, and are those still the subjects you guys are going to talk about?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. And it should be said that in this format, these will be the only two subjects that require responses from your opponent, given the fact that we agreed on, or y'all agreed on, presenting your subjects beforehand. If a participant feels that they need to introduce a new relevant subject during their presentation time period, their opponent is not required to offer a rebuttal. Sound cool?
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Okay, so let's go ahead and go through the format here, and this is a format that just about everybody here is familiar with, but I just want to remind everybody. The debate format is going to be each person is going to have a 3-minute introduction, and then 10 minutes of presentation, 10 minutes of rebuttal of only what was presented, and then a 10-minute re-rebuttal afterwards. And then a 3-minute closing, and then after that, we'll have about 30 minutes of open discussion where other people can talk and ask questions. Um, that's the time frames. The rules are very simple. We're all adults here, but try and keep the language down and the personal attacks down to a relevant minimum. I understand that people, they might have an opinion and stuff like that. I'm not against opinions, but just try not to make it your whole shtick. Let's see. No interrupting your opponent at any time during their time blocks. The only person who will interrupt people during their time blocks will be myself. And if I have to intervene, the clock will stop for that intervention. And I hope I don't have to intervene at all, other than to say times, which I am only going to remind you in the major blocks, in the 3 10-minute blocks. I'm going to let you know when half your time is over and when you have 1 minute left. And then, as always, remember that anything you do or say here can and will be used against you in a court of social media. Cool?
Yeah.
Slayer?
I think he's muted his mic.
Sounds good.
Okay. All right. So,
There's some people
to
saying they're
eliminate
not getting
bias,
audio.
what's that?
There was people saying they're not getting any audio.
I really cannot do anything about that, but I did get a couple of thumbs up from regular listeners, so I can't really say unfortunately, what their issue might be. But this is being recorded, and it is also being live streamed and recorded on Toon's channel. So if anybody has any problems with this particular stream, they can feel free to catch up on that. Let's see. Now, I came up with a neat little idea on how we're going to do the coin toss, because we're using spaces and nobody can see me, and I don't expect anybody to trust me on who won a coin toss. Um, so I have a real simple thing here, and it's going to be really easy. And all you guys have to do is pick two things, okay? And this will correspond to an answer. And what do you call it? If the answers match or the answers don't match, okay? So first thing I'm going to say here is I'm going to say the number 42 as a reference. This is not the number I am searching for, okay? But I'm going to say the number 42 as a reference. Right now, I'm going to ask Toon. Toon, I need you to pick either odd or even. Odd. Okay. And then uh, GlobeSlayer, I'm going to ask you to pick the word win or lose.
Win, of course.
Win. Okay. So basically, what I just did there is I was giving GlobeSlayer the opportunity to be the picker of this. What win or lose meant was in the night in Super Bowl 42, the Patriots played the Giants, and one person obviously won, one person obviously lost. Their scores were an odd and an even number. Unfortunately, that did not match because the Giants, you said win, but wait, Toon, did you say odd or even?
I said odd.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Nope. Then GlobeSlayer was correct in matching those two up. So that was just a completely random way to pick one of the two of you. So GlobeSlayer, you get to pick if you want to go first or second.
I'll go first.
You'll go first. Okay, so again, first thing that we're going to be doing here is the introduction. Just tell us a little bit about yourself, maybe something relevant to your qualifications on discussing topics of this nature. Whatever you feel is necessary. If you don't meet up with your time, then just refer back to the moderator. Okay. So I will go ahead and start your time now.
Hey everybody, I go by the alias GlobeSlayer. I posit the Earth to be a stationary topographical plane. Through research and experience, I've determined this due to realizations such as water at rest does not bend and distribute itself evenly over a spherical surface. Sidereal measurements are more accurate using plane trigonometry. Earth's motion has been well refuted. Every interferometry test performed since the 1880s has detected no movement of the Earth as asserted by the heliocentric model. The sun at 93 million miles from Earth necessitates the sun's rays to strike
Okay,
points
I
of the
have to interrupt you.
compass.
Globeslayer. I have to interrupt you. This is just your introduction of who you are, not your presentation of evidence.
Okay. Well, tonight I'll be focused on demonstrating a stationary Earth, the deep diving experiment known most as Aries failure, as well as the refutation of Foucault's pendulum and time permitting exploration and refutation of theory of relativity. Um, I want to thank MC Toon for being here, and I want to thank you, Sly, for your time and your service as a moderator for the debate. And I want to
Cool.
thank all the listeners here tonight and hope you enjoy the debate.
Cool,
That's it.
cool. All right. Then that was well before time. Let's see. I will reset. And then, Toon, your go.
Yeah, thank you, Sly, for hosting, and thank you, GS, for participating. The Earth is a globe, and I will be presenting evidence for the globe tonight. The typical flat Earth, not always, but typical flat Earth argument for flat Earth starts with the globe predicts, which they're off to a bad start. Then a description of something that the globe does not predict, followed by them saying this observation doesn't match that thing, which the globe doesn't predict. Therefore, Earth flat, which is a non sequitur. I hope that my opponent today has chosen a different template, but I've noticed that to be the standard template. I will, in fact, myself be presenting evidence for the globe. Thank you for my time. That's it.
Okay. So those are the two intros. So the next part that we're moving on to is your presentation. Remember, GS, you have two subjects that you picked. Toon, you have two subjects that you picked. Anything outside of those subjects, your opponent is not required to respond to, even though I'm quite certain that both of you will. Let's see here. So let me go ahead and reset the time here to 10 minutes. I will interrupt you at 5 minutes, and I will interrupt you at 1 minute, just with an acknowledgement of that time. No greater thing than that. Okay. Let's see. So, GlobeSlayer, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Well, then I am starting the clock now.
All right, I'm going to start my argument off to indicate a stationary Earth, beginning with George Vidal Airy, an English mathematician and astronomer, as well as the Lucasian professor of mathematics and the seventh astronomer royal from 1835 to 1881. He was well known for measuring the mean density of the Earth, a method of solution of two-dimensional problems in solid mechanics. In his role as astronomer royal, establishing Greenwich as the location of the prime meridian. The experiment to which I refer you was conducted in 1871, dubbed Airy's failure by heliocentrists due to the conclusion there was no moving ether. However, this is a gross misrepresentation of the purpose of the experiment and overlooks a realistic understanding and interpretations of its results. The experiment was conducted under the knowledge that telescopes have to be very slightly tilted to get the starlight to go down the axis of the tube due to the Earth's supposed speed around the sun. He references in his paper light undergoing a relative increase in refraction upon traversing a refracting medium that has a translational velocity. This experiment can be considered to be a variation of an earlier experiment by Francis Arago performed with a moving slab of glass in 1810. Arago showed that either light itself or the luminiferous ether is dragged along by a moving piece of glass. Fresnel explained the effect by assuming it was the light-carrying medium. This is called Fresnel drag. George Stokes explained it via compression of the ether, but the main outcome we need to extrapolate here tonight is a determination of which is moving, the light source or the material. When Arago investigated this effect with starlight, he concluded that the glass plate coinciding with the Earth on which it sat was stationary, and that it was in fact the stars which were moving. And so, Airy filled a telescope with water as a refracting medium to slow the speed of the starlight inside the telescope due to light aberration, as described by the undulatory theory of light. He had a telescope of the same make without water as well and viewed the starlight of Draconis through each, expecting differences of plus and minus 15. He carried out two sets of observations on the star Draconis due to its ideal position about 100 degrees north from the Royal Observatory's location. Each set of experiments spanned a month or more, 6 months apart, and at specific times of the year where aberrational effects, if they did exist, were predicted to be maximally opposite. He ultimately found that he did not have to change the angle of the telescope, reaching the conclusion that the starlight was already coming in at the correct angle and that no change was needed. This demonstrated that it was the stars moving relative to a stationary Earth and not the fast-orbiting Earth moving relative to the comparatively stationary stars. If it was a telescope and therefore Earth that was moving, he would have had to change the angle. Just like Arago before him, Airy proved that the world was stationary and the stars are moving. Whether there exists a luminiferous ether or not is irrelevant in respect to the fact that the dragging of starlight, as demonstrated initially by Arago, is real, irrespective of how we try to explain it. Both Arago and Airy showed that it is the stars and not the world which moves, although Airy did not actually go so far as to admit this. In addition, we can say that Michelson, Morley, Trout, Noble, and many others have consistently demonstrated no motion of the world around the sun. Even Einstein could not relativize the results of Airy's experiments due to the fact stellar aberration provided a distinction he could not overcome. Airy did not measure the theoretically predicted increase in stellar aberration for the simple reason that the Earth does not orbit the sun but is stationary. There is no other viable conclusion that can be drawn from the results of this experiment. The rest of my presentation is a refutation of Foucault's pendulum, the operations of which have been proven not only consistent but deceptive as well. This apparatus is alleged to give simple, direct evidence of the Earth's rotation. Introduced in 1851, Leon Foucault claimed that the swinging rotational motions were proof of the Earth's rotation. The pendulum swings back and forth and over time slowly seems to rotate over its arena or pit. It is explained that the Earth is rotating beneath the pendulum. These pendulum has often been seen to rotate too quickly, too slowly, in the incorrect direction, and sometimes found not to rotate at all. A.C. Longden, a published physicist and professor of physics at Knox College in Illinois, states, end quote, "Nevertheless, the pendulum behaves as if it had two periods. Furthermore, it always started rotating clockwise and never counterclockwise. This fact remained a puzzle until another wire was substituted for the wire which I had been using. The two wires were cut from the same piece and were certainly as nearly alike as two wires could well be, and yet the pendulum now invariably started rotating counterclockwise, never clockwise. After starting the pendulum a number of times with the new wire and always getting the same results, counterclockwise motion at the start, I rotated the wire 180 degrees on its own axis without disturbing either the pendulum ball or the support. The wire may be rotated by turning screw G without disturbing the hanger, and a similar arrangement at the bottom enables us to rotate the wire without rotating the ball. Now the pendulum started rotating clockwise." End quote. What conclusion can be drawn here that two pieces of string from the
5
same roll
minutes.
or source have been shown to produce different results with Foucault's pendulum? One should be suspicious of such curious and contradictory results arising from such a minute variable. Here I find myself asking how the same string can produce such strange cause and effect, or if the apparatus itself were not capable of consistent results at all. Dr. Karl Schopfer, who had a doctorate and eventually pursued a career as a journalist, writer, and investigator, published a book named The Earth Stands Fast, became troubled with his beliefs on the Copernican principles and theory after his extensive experience and investigation regarding Foucault's pendulum, stating in his book, end quote, "Until then, there had been no proof of the Copernican hypothesis, the so-called proofs being, after close investigation, just as many confutations, until the Foucault pendulum showed the rotation of the Earth uncontrovertibly. The pendulum was tied, the string was burnt, the swingings began, but the pendulum deviated to the left instead of to the right. It was hastily brought to rest. New burning of the string. This time the deviation was the one desired, and we are invited again to be present in the church the next morning to be convinced the deviation agrees with the theory. On the following morning, however, we saw that the pendulum during the night had changed its mind and had from the deviation to the right again returned to the left. To me, this new proof did not seem to be quite in order." End quote. Following his witness of two quite unsuccessful demonstrations of Foucault pendulum in a church, Dr. Karl Schopfer stated his personal belief in the Copernican model had been severely shaken, and so he sought out Alexander von Humboldt, who was said to have been the first refuge for those seeking information. Humboldt was a German naturalist and explorer who was a major figure in the classical period of physical geography and biogeography, areas of science now included in the earth sciences and ecology. He said, end quote, "He received me very friendly and spoke the memorable words, 'I have known too for a long time that as yet we have no proof of the Copernican system, but I shall never dare be the first to attack it. Don't rush into the wasp's nest. You will bring upon yourself the scorn of the thoughtless multitude.' Furthermore, I have found by careful experiments that a skillful experimenter can let the pendulum deviate either to the left or to the right. And we must not overlook the fact that the deviations may be caused by air currents, electricity, earth magnetism, special apparatus, and perhaps many other causes. Blunt and Cox observed the most curious and contrary swings. Phillips of New York found great hourly deviations in the swinging line. Walker observed a peculiarly swift deviation when the pendulum swings in a magnetic meridian. De Oliveira at Rio de Janeiro stated that the pendulum deviates to the right in the direction of the meridian, but to the left in the direction of the parallel. This deviation, diametrically opposed to the theory, was seen very often, and sometimes the pendulum does not deviate at all. Much more could be said against this, quote, beautiful experiment. Though beautiful, it may seem to the theorist, it certainly is far from being irrefragable evidence of the Earth's motion, end quote. These are only a few examples of the difficulties in achieving the desired results indicative of a moving Earth in non-motorized Foucault's pendulum apparatuses from prominent figures of their time. For the sake of time, I'll not address motorized Foucault's pendulum, except to say that they have been known to produce similar effects of non-motorized versions, although not as often, and that the effects produced by these versions has not definitively been proven not to be an effect of the motors themselves. Without regard to the need to reset the non-motorized versions of the pendulum, they continue to display characteristics not compatible with the rotating Earth they are intended to demonstrate. That's my presentation.
Okay, with 1 minute and 18 seconds to spare. All right, that was a good presentation. Well thought out. Lots of good information in there. All right. So Toon, you ready to do your presentation?
I am.
All right, and so I will go ahead and say start.
All right. Well, since there's no opportunity to share screen on X space here, I have tweeted the webpage with all of my citations on X as a response to this particular space. So if anybody wants to follow along, they can do that. Everything I present is on there already. I'll begin with celestial navigation. Euclid Book 3, Proposition 18 describes a line tangent to a circle. This is important. It'll come in later. The point is this is a geometric proof that it is possible to have a line tangent to a curve, to a circle in this instance. The geometric proof does not require that the circle be a straight line. The fact that a straight line exists does not, in fact, change the circle into a not circle. It lets the circle remain a circle. Secondly, I'm going to show on my video on my own channel where I am doing a elevation angle measurement on a sphere using the theodolite app on my phone. And so you can watch that there. That's the second thing on my my page. So it shows me personally using a theodolite app on a phone to measure an elevation angle between the edge of the sphere and the tip of I have a rocket on in my room there. So I measured that angle. So it's possible to measure an elevation angle on the surface of a sphere to some distant point above that sphere. Those are important things to understand about how celestial navigation works, because that particular measurement is used often. I have also on that page a link, I won't be playing, but a link to a video where somebody is demonstrating a very physical way to do the circles of equal altitude, which works perfectly fine on a sphere, and he gives a demonstration of exactly how to do that. I sent this to GlobeSlayer ahead of time, so he's had a chance to review how that's done. I hope that it's not strawmanned. So I will now give you a very specific example of star angle measurements being turned into a location. This was done by Shubil. Shubil is the guy, his Twitter name, and he is a surveyor. He did this on November 17th, 2023. He used a T2 theodolite to do these measurements. And there is no corrections made. All of the data is as observed. So any refraction adjustment is done afterwards. I do include a little in the analysis I do here. So he has Rigel. The angular altitude is 13 degrees. Vega altitude is 15 and a half about. And I'm going to pronounce that wrong. Formalhaut is angular altitude of about 13 degrees. So those three there are all that you need to determine the location of the person, along with, of course, the radius of the Earth. That's a very important thing. And the location of those three stars at that exact time in relation to the Greenwich line, the line. Greenwich Mean Time is what I'm messing up. Anyway, you need to get the positions of the stars over the surface of the Earth, which of course is available through nautical almanacs. I'll show you some pictures of how it's done, but the determination using celestial navigation is 39 degrees, 42 minutes north, and 77 degrees, 45 minutes west. And if you follow along, not on YouTube, you can see the specific measurements that Shubil sent me. And then here is a diagram of those 3 star positions. They're the little arrows that are just on the edge of the Earth there. And then you can see where they intersect. Those 3 intersecting points is where the observer is. And then there you can see where it is just off the east coast there. And I have a more specific. All right, so then he gave me his exact position using GNSS, which is just about the exact same numbers as what Celestial Navigation gave. Here's his specific location. It's at an airport. There you go. And the difference between the Celestial Navigation determined position and the GNSS position, I calculated using the Haversine formula. It's 1.7 kilometers. It's just a tiny bit off. Very close.
5 minutes.
Thank you. Hey, perfect timing. So anyway, I have a $10,000 Flat Earth Celestial Navigation Challenge. The money is already in escrow. All you need to do is show the process of doing celestial navigation using Flat Earth. It's been almost 2 years, and nobody has done it. People make claims about geometry, but they don't actually do the celestial navigation. Part 2, reciprocal zenith angles. Reciprocal zenith angles are where you have 2 stations on the surface of the Earth. You point a theodolite at them. You measure a zenith angle between one station and the other station. So zenith is from 90 straight. Zero zenith is straight up. 90 is perpendicular to straight up. So you measure both of those. A friend of mine, Baron Rutledge, did exactly that at the salt flats in the Bonneville salt flats. I'll turn off the sound. I'll give you just a quick overview of what he did. So he's measuring. There's his theodolite, and he had a target on the other side. He measured the angle to that target. Then he swapped the target for the theodolite, and he measured from the other side. He gave me all of those numbers. He gave me pictures of his logbook there. I put them into a spreadsheet. All of this is available for free on the website that I linked already, tweeted already. You can look at all of those yourself, verify the angles. You can verify that he did the right thing in the process. If you have questions, he's available on TikTok. You can question him there. The important thing is, I'll go back to the spreadsheet, is that if those angles, when you sum the angles, if they sum to more than 180 degrees, then that is evidence that we are on the surface of a sphere or a object that is convex. And that particular measurement has 15.2 arc seconds more than 180 degrees, and he's about 1,500 feet away from, or he's 1158 actually, 1158 feet away. So he had a positive confirmation there of the sphericity of the Earth. Now that's 1,100 feet. What about a longer one? Well, I'm glad you asked. In 1900, a survey was published, the Transcontinental Triangulation and the American Arc of the Parallel, and they had many hundreds of reciprocal zenith angle measurements in there. I have all of those measurements put into a spreadsheet, had a lot of help with that. They did a great job. I'll show you a little overview here. This is what it looks like. You have a measurement from straight up, measurement to the target. Here it is on in the actual book from Tiobe Dome to White Pine is just a bit over 90 degrees, 90 degrees 43 minutes, and from White Pine to Tiobe Dome, the other direction there, right? From Tiobe Dome to White Pine is one. White Pine to Tiobe Dome is the other, also more than 90 degrees. Both of them are more than 90 degrees. We already know where we're going here. This is more than 180 degrees. I have this is a little hard to read on screen, but this is all the data from the spreadsheet. You can look at the spreadsheet yourself and verify everything. The sum of the zenith angles is 181 degrees, 346 degrees. So it is significantly more. And there's a certain excess per kilometer that's part of that calculation. It matches the globe. It's quite nice. This graph here is a scattered chart of all of the angle measurements in that particular survey, and they all are in excess of 180 degrees. So there you go. Thank you very much. That's my presentation. Be sure to follow along. Go pull up that webpage if you're curious, people.
Okay. Well, I was going to call out 1 minute, but it sounded like you were summing up, so I didn't call out 1 minute. You still had 50 more seconds.
Super.
Okay, so now we have had our presentations, and I just want to clarify one thing here. I can confirm that the information that was presented on Toon's live stream was actually presented to GlobeSlayer in the back chat that we had set planning this. I do see that GlobeSlayer had asked Toon if he wanted links to his stuff, but I do not see that actually transpired. He said no need for links. The topics are fine. The only reason why I'm bringing that up is because I want to make sure that we clarify the fact that even though Toon was presenting his stuff live on screen, all of the information that Toon presented was actually submitted to GlobeSlayer. So it wouldn't be a handicap to say that it wasn't something that we could all see here in Twitter Spaces. All right, what is that? I see something was posted. GlobeSlayer, can you explain what you posted there?
This is what I was talking to you about before about sharing evidence in spaces. You can actually put that up there where everybody can see it.
Well, I agree, but there is that one handicap of the fact that it appears you have a 2 minute 9 video there, and I'm sure it's very informative towards your thing, but having somebody stop in spaces to watch a 2 minute 9 video kind of cuts back on the time that they would be presenting.
No, there's no video there. It's just a photo. It's just an image.
Well, it says 2 minutes and 19 seconds, but either way.
That's not long ago I posted it.
Okay. Oh, okay.
I see a video.
I was gonna say I claim ignorance on that, but yeah. All right. So you guys have both covered both of your subjects as prescribed, and so now we're going to move on to the first rebuttal phase. First rebuttal phase, I'm kind of expecting that you guys are both a little bit already prepared on those because you knew the subjects beforehand. The second rebuttal phase, I'm sure, is a little bit more off the cuff. So let me go ahead and restart this here, and then okay, GlobeSlayer, are you ready for your rebuttal period?
Yeah, I'm doing rebuttal. I'm doing my rebuttal first.
Yeah, we're just going in sequence.
Okay.
So let me go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and hit the start, and you can go ahead and start right now.
All right. So in 1777, by royal decree, the globular latitude longitude coordinate system we're all familiar with was imposed on the world. They were basically offering everyone money to use their newly imposed for providing correctional angles for their newly imposed latitude longitude correctional system, so that two ships could complete a circuit opposite directions around Britain. So if you have observers A and B, and the starting point for both A and B are right next to each other, they look at the stars and take measurements. Their locations being the same, they're going to see the stars in the same location. But let's say that A remains stationary and B travels away from A in a straight line until the stars in the sky shift 1 degree from their original position at A. This is the basis for the proposed imposed coordinate system given to us in 1777. For a single observer, globe or plane in the north, correction angles to Polaris would be indistinguishable. The issue now is they needed two observers to be able to use the sky for triangulation and end up in the correct location using their new latitude longitude system derived from sidereal measurements. So they do this via correction tables or traverse tables, which enable quick calculations to use the stars to match a 2D map projection of the same latitude longitude system. The all the modern published maps are required to use this globular latitude longitude system from the labors of this action in 1777. These correction angles and tables are derived from fulfillment of the successful circumnavigation of Britain. The globe and map projections thereof are derived from the equivalent of planar correction angles to Polaris, using selective stars for navigation to make a latitude-longitude coordinate system that's backwards compatible with a two-party reference system is not mutually exclusive proof of a globe. While on the subject of correction angles and coordinate system transformations, the correction angles and traverse tables provided to navigate successfully on this new globular latitude-longitude map were derived from a 2D planar rectangular coordinate system, and through corrections and transformations, the celestial sphere model for heliocentrism was derived. So there's some equations, and I was going to put them up on the screen, but using these equations, they went out and corrected their 2D planar maps to fit the globular coordinate system by adjusting the ellipticity or flattening of the area. And using that correction to fit the globular latitude-longitude, they built a traverse table for everyone to use as quick reference to their location on the globular coordinate system without having to do actual spherical trig, which is a much lengthier process to use their map with. The reason all 2D projection maps work from their globular projection is because of transformations and supplemental corrections. The end result of said transformations turns a 2D map into a globe with a radius of 3959 that matches the stars because it was actually derived from the stars. The globularist argument is that when you're 69 miles away from an originating reference point, you're now tilted away from that original point such that there's a 1 degree deviation from your zenith. On a plane, the two zeniths will be parallel. On a globe at 69 miles distance, they're 1 degree of deviation. 138 miles will be 2 degrees, 201 miles will be 3 degrees, and so on. We're told that the mechanism for this divergence is Earth's curvature. The flat Earth explanation would be perspective. As you get further away, the objects in the sky are apparent and relative to your location on the plane. An attempt to measure the summation of this alleged 1 degree deflection of the vertical, they put forward the arc of the parallel. So we're being told that taking line of sight measurements at altitude, usually a station on a mountain, by taking measurements of small triangles all across the country, the summation of these triangles is supposed to tell us that there is excesses not in the measurement, which they call spherical excess. Measuring spherical excess is a misnomer. Spherical excess is not measured, it is computated via a process. So there's the operation of a triangulation survey starts with reconnaissance, erection of signals and towers, measurement of horizontal angles, astronomical observations necessary to determine the true meridian and the absolute positions of the stations, measurement of a baseline, adjustment of observed angles, computations of lengths on each side of each triangle, and computations of the latitude and longitude. So they line of sight measurements are taken at altitude and they form a triangle. And then the corrections are applied for each measurement of the triangle to reduce the altitude of the triangle to make it as if it were measured at sea level. And there's a formula for that I can give you. Then they compare the accuracy of the reduction by using a map derived from the stars that already fits the latitude-longitude coordinate system that was originally derived from a planar correction angles to Polaris, and the accuracy of the reductions are compared. And then they use these coefficients for lateral refraction, and then further adjustments are considered, but there's no lapse rate required, and there's no actual measurements of this lateral refraction. They're just assumptions. Basically to make the calculations easier. But when we make these observations directly, we must provide a lapse rate about every 10 feet. Let's see. After they use a weighted means average of the measurements, everything's summed up, and they get these measurements as a result. So this rigorous weighted computational method occasionally produces a few arc segments in spherical excess, which they use as proof of a globe. Spherical excess hides within the margin of error, which allows it to propagate over large distances into the ellipsoid that they have imagined. After begging the question and using a map derived from the stars, spherical excess emerges from those measurements. And if we're talking topographical maps, if Earth's an ellipsoid, as Globers proclaim, and spherical excess is necessary for their maps to be accurate, then how do topographical maps depict diverging zeniths for mountaintops without resulting in a projection and therefore a measurable distortion? Topographical maps, they depict the z-axis dimension as contour lines, relative and perpendicular to a flat plane, which is how terrain is surveyed to begin with. They must conduct plane table surveys to establish flat baselines and triangulate positions, when in reality they correspond to a drawing on drafting paper. They don't then calculate the spherical excess to get the correct globe distances and then apply a flat projection to distort it for topographical representations. That's pretty much all I had written for my rebuttal.
Okay. I heard you go mostly on the Zenith stuff. Anything specific on navigation that you want to cover? The clock is stopped right now.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, you have 2 minutes and 30 seconds, and go ahead.
All right, so when you're taking these measurements, without assuming a horizontal to take these measurements, you have to draw a tangent line. And when you draw this tangent line and you're measuring to the stars, this tangent line essentially has to extend way off of the Earth, and you're taking those measurements essentially from way out in space, more or less. That's all I can think of right now.
Up in space. That's where the stars are.
I'll go ahead and end
Makes sense.
my rebuttal at this point.
Okay, I'll go ahead and stop the clock. You had 1 minute and 50 left. All right, so let's see here. No extra topics thrown in. Good to go. All right, Toon, are you ready to do your first rebuttal?
I am.
All right, let's see here. And I'm going to go ahead and start the clock and go.
All right. Well, Airy's failure, or he had a little longer name. He called it on the supposed alteration of the amount of astronomical aberration of light produced by the passage of light through a considerable thickness of refracting medium. Airy's failure is a bit more easier to say. So the main part of the hypothesis is that ether exists. It's a fundamental part of the hypothesis. This is a test of the difference in the effect of light as it passes through the ether and different mediums. So it's a necessary part of it. And in this paper, they don't call it ether. In this paper, they call it the undulating theory, or undulating theory of light. And they're talking about, he's responding to Professor Klinkerfues, one of my favorite names. It says Professor Klinkerfues maintained that as a necessary result of the undulating theory, the ether, the amount of aberration would be increased in accordance with the formula which he is given, and he supported it by the following experiments. That describes the experiment. Go through the whole experiment, and at the end, the reason why it's called Airy's failure is because it did not match the predictions proposed by Professor Klinkerfues. And I'll get to the end here. So, remarking the mean results of the geographical latitude of the instruments determined from the observations made when the aberration of star had respectively its largest plus value and largest minus value. So that's the annual aberration of light that they're talking about, that was published in 1727. Agree within a fraction of a second. I think myself justified in concluding that the hypothesis of Professor Klinkerfues is untenable. The hypothesis being about the undulating theory of light, or the ether. So Airy's failure was not doesn't establish that the Earth is stationary. Airy's failure is reliant completely on the ether existing. The ether has not been empirically confirmed since then, and so that was one of the early identifications that the ether theory was trouble and that it didn't work. So the further tests of the ether did not find any particular evidence for ether, though some people have claimed it more and more. More and more experiments have been done that are much more precise than both Michelson, Morley, and Airy. Further, one more thing, Michelson, Gale. So if you're going to say that ether exists, and you're going to say that both Airy's failure and Michelson, Morley confirm, if you're going to make that claim that ether exists and it shows that the Earth is stationary, then we have a problem, because Michelson, Gale, and I'm on the wrong page there. Let's see here. All right, I won't pull it up, but Michelson, Gale measured a movement, some sort of movement. So some people say that it's the ether moving. Well, if the ether's moving, then both Airy and Michelson, Morley would have measured that movement. So the Michelson Gale interferometer uses the Sagnac effect. It sends a light in a loop in two directions around the loop and recombines them once it's gone around. If the apparatus has rotated during the transmission of the light around there, then one of the paths was longer than the other. So when the light is recombined, there's an interference pattern. If it's sitting on the surface of the Earth and if the Earth is stationary, then there should be no interference pattern, yet there is. They say, well, the ether is moving. Well, the ether was measured to not move according to you in the previous experiments. So which is it? They say, oh, well, yeah, you got a problem there. So I'm gonna ask, how do those two things combine together? Further, if there is some sort of a vortex, then the center of axis of that vortex needs to be inside the enclosing ring of some sort, because if it's just the ether wind, then the wind on one side and the wind on the other side must be dramatically different in velocity. So that's a problem. There's no agreement between those two. To the Foucault pendulum.
5 minutes.
Man, I nailed that timing. To the Foucault pendulum, you did cite a few things. I did not ask for citations ahead of time. I would certainly love to see them now. I'm unfamiliar with the ones that you mentioned. So yes, there are quite a few successful Foucault pendulum measurements, and maybe there are some unsuccessful ones. You can there is a nice one. Let's see, is this it here? The Gentleman Physicist has one. No, that's not it. The Gentleman Physicist on YouTube has a one that he's doing there, but it's important to know that it is a very precise measurement, and if you don't do it well, then if your controls aren't good, then you're going to have trouble. So it's a measurement that has potential problems. So I would not use that as a slam dunk, right? It's the kind of thing that you can do yourself, and if you do it really well, you can. But I would instead say that this followed the pattern that I mentioned earlier. That the flat Earth claim is the globe predicts this, then an incorrect prediction based on the globe, or a poorly done experiment, and then therefore flat. Well, this doesn't establish flat, or certainly. And it even doesn't establish stationariness. The point would be you'd have to measure stationariness. All that you've done at best is identify that this is not a useful measurement, though I think that the numerous repeats of the measurement being done well with good controls speaks against that as well. So I would rather, though, say that there are numerous other confirmations of the Earth moving. Michelson Gale, that I previously mentioned, is one of them. I have a long list on a short sampling of about 14 or 15 measurements of the rotation of the Earth on mztoon.net/spin. So one of them is the deep underground rotation measurements from the Gingerino Ring Laser Gyroscope in Gran Sasso. I have a link to that one there. They measure 15 degrees per hour rotation. But if you don't want optical ones, then there's others. There's a one in particular that I would like to mention, and that is from FE Core. FE Core had a really nice one that they paid for, and it didn't work well for them. In fact, the FE Core mechanical spinning gyroscope confirmed that the Earth is rotating, and that when you have when you need to consider the latitude you're at, when you consider the latitude that you're at, it measured the same amount, that 15 degree per hour drift. I will put a link to that as a response on my, there it is. That's to that particular one. So if you're on Twitter or X, you can see my response to that. So that's a confirmation further of the rotation of the Earth, in addition to the Michelson Gale and the other optical measurements, and this mechanical one. So we have 3 different ones. The Foucault pendulum, when done well, when controlled well, okay, it's a difficult one to get right. So I would want to know that those are done well, and so I need to look at those. But I will, GlobeSlayer, if you will share them with me. So anyway, 1 minute. All right. Well, that's the end of my response to his
1 minute.
Things. All right. Thanks, Sly. That's it.
Okay, with 1 minute to spare. Now, I just want to remind both of you guys of the rules that we agreed on. Toon, you brought up the Gran Sasso measurement and the FE core measurement, which I also modeled out in 3D, by the way. But those were not part of the subjects that were originally brought in. So if GlobeSlayer wants to comment on them, he can, but he is not required to. Okay, so moving into the second rebuttal period. Let's see here. GlobeSlayer, are you still with us? Okay, so this is going to be your second rebuttal period. Again, 10 minutes. I will remind you at 5 minutes and 1 minute. I'm expecting this one to be a little bit more off the cuff, so just keep it tame. Everybody's been fine so far. And when you're ready, just go ahead and tell me to start.
All right, go ahead.
All right.
All right, so well, I'm glad to hear that you concede that Foucault's pendulum is not a good representative measure of the rotation of Earth. I also want to point out in my presentation, I pointed out that Airy's failure is often misconstrued as an attempt at measurement of the ether, but as I mentioned, he was following up on Arago's experiment where he determined that with a slab of glass, the starlight was moving with it, so that there's actually aberration of light. It's slowed down by refracting medium, and that the starlight was dragged with the slab of glass. And regardless of presence of luminiferous ether or not, Airy's experiment did indicate a stationary Earth with the stars moving. If you really look into it, there's really no other way to interpret that experiment when you really consider all the factors. Let's see. And you're talking about optical experiments indicating Earth's movement. Even Einstein himself said that no optical experiment can indicate the Earth's movement. Also, every interferometry test performed since the 1880s have not detected any movement of the Earth as asserted by the heliocentric model. And as far as those references on Airy's failure and Foucault's pendulum, I'll be glad to share them with you afterwards. Let's see. That's pretty much all I've got to add to that. Like I was saying about the Foucault's pendulum, it's commonly used as proof of a rotating Earth when it's demonstrably not because there's no consistency in the experiment, even when using the same materials and getting different results. I'd also like to say with the Mickelson-Morley experiment, you didn't mention the Trout-Noble experiment. And let's see, those have all indicated that there's no motion of the world around the sun. That's pretty much all I've got to refute to that.
Is that all of your refutation for Toon in this round?
Am I still supposed to be refuting his celestial angles and everything? I'm a little confused about how we're doing that.
Well, I mean, you can refute anything that's been brought up, either his rebuttals or his presentations, whatever you would like to continue going on. Let's see, because I let that run there, but I'm going to say that you have about 7 minutes and 15 seconds still left.
All right. So as I was saying,
I mean, any of the subjects that were brought up, you can even go into the Grand Sasso or the FE Core thing, whatever you would like to refute to.
Okay, so the spherical excess when you're doing these measurements is, as I said, it's not actually measured; is computated through a formula. And the reason that all these things line up with the
It's a
stars is
straight
because they
parrot of
were
Whitson,
originally,
and it's not the
these
topic.
2D maps were originally mapped with the stars. Let's see. I don't really have a lot else to refute because he hasn't given his rebuttal for my refutation of his demonstration there.
Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and stop. So you're concluding your rebuttal, yes?
For now, yes.
Okay, because you got 6 minutes and 30 seconds left. There's only one more rebuttal, and that's going to be his, and then we're going to closing statements and open discussion.
Okay, well, I thought we were doing a rebuttal or whatever, according to what we talked about. But
This is the rebuttal.
okay, all right. So when you're doing these measurements, you're the stars and
Oh wait, okay. So
celestial.
you want to continue, is what I'm understanding.
Yeah,
Okay,
might as well.
We'll put that back at 6:45, and go ahead.
I thought this was the
So the way we've set this up, he actually hasn't got to give a rebuttal, his rebuttal for my rebuttal of his presentation. So that means that when he gives his rebuttal, I won't get the opportunity to respond to that. So I guess I'll add that when you're taking these measurements, you're essentially cutting the globe in half and taking these measurements from a horizontal surface. And you can actually take these Cartesian coordinates and convert them to polar coordinates with a pretty simple formula.
What's that formula?
Um,
He doesn't know.
and so the polar coordinate system, for everybody who doesn't know, is when each point on the plane of a planar or two-dimensional coordinate system is decided by a distance from a reference point, and you take an angle from a reference direction. So these are easily convertible, and they do, and claim the spherical excess to be proof of the globe, when it's honestly pretty redundant, and they just hide the spherical excess in the margin of error, so that over large distances it becomes an ellipsoid, the one that they imagined. And see, I've got some references I can put up on the screen while I'm still here.
Yeah, he doesn't. He didn't even look at my. I gave it to him. He doesn't look. I didn't talk about spherical excess, but
I guess everybody on Toon's channel won't be able to see them though.
the script from Witsit didn't include reciprocal zenith angles. Yeah, no, nobody's gonna see it because this is Spaces. How do you share this stuff? Is he done? I have
So,
no idea
anyways,
what he's
and
doing.
also as I was saying, so you've got for every 1 degree deviation, you've got about 69 miles, and so the two zeniths would be parallel on a globe at 69 miles, and that's 1 degree of deviation. But from a flat Earth perspective, it's basically all perspective. Um, when they put this arc of the parallel forward, it's basically there's a conversion chart, and they make these corrections and from these spherical angles and observed angles, and create the spherical excess that they use as proof of the globe. When in honesty, it's redundant and
It's redundant. I'm
trying to post
muted
something,
there.
but it's not working.
I'm muted there, so they don't hear me. I'm just
All right, I'm going to go ahead and conclude my rebuttal here for now.
good. Finally. It sounds like he's doing a book report for a book he didn't read. Are you done? Are you done with your response?
Yeah, I'll turn it over to Toon.
Oh, okay. Sly? I don't know where Sly is.
I think I might have bored him to sleep.
You might have. You might have. He's in Germany, so it's getting late at night there. So yeah, so people are wondering, is there open discussion? Yeah, we'll have an open discussion after this. So all right. Well, lacking Sly being here, I'll begin my
Okay, I'm back.
oh,
I'm back. I'm
okay.
back. Oh, hold on a second here. I gotta reconnect my damn headset. The unfortunately, my app locked up. I don't know if anybody had heard that. That's yeah, I couldn't hear anything, so I had to restart the app. I'm terribly sorry about that. So GlobeSlayer, did you complete your presentation? Your rebuttal?
He did.
Okay.
Yeah, I just turned it over.
Okay, cool. Again, my apologies on that. It was not my fault. My phone just kept on telling me that the app was crashing. Do I want to wait, and all this other stuff, and I couldn't get through. I couldn't even change my status.
Yeah,
Okay,
I was
so
trying to give off some formulas, and I wasn't able to post them for some reason. And it's kind of hard to read them off and anybody to understand them.
yeah, that might have been due to my hosting. As in like my app crashing here. So I apologize for that. Is there anything you would like to post while we're here?
Yeah,
I see
I'm working
I
on it
see a
now.
bunch of
It's
posts now.
actually it's actually working now. It must have been because you were gone. I don't know.
Yeah, I think me hosting it was the crash out on that was causing the problem. Okay, so with that, so but I am understanding correctly that you were done with your rebuttal, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so last rebuttal, and that belongs to you, Mr. Toon. And I'll go ahead and set the clock here. After this, we'll have closing statements and then open discussion. Okay.
All right.
All right. So you tell me to go when you're ready to go.
All right, go.
Cool.
So, GlobeSlayer, I sent you my evidence ahead of time. Specifically, I sent you reciprocal zenith angles from the transcontinental triangulation and the American arc of the covenant, American arc of the parallel, and you instead used a script that you got from Witsit about spherical excess instead of reciprocal zenith angles. It's clear you don't understand the topic whatsoever, even remotely at all. Thank you for that. Reciprocal zenith angles are a completely different thing, but you did make a bunch of incorrect claims. They are based on the lies that Witsit tells about how the survey was done. So thank you, Witsit, for lying by extension. These are not baked in; they're not calculated in. I've asked Witsit to show where that's done. He has no answer. It's just him lying. So anyway, you did not address for 1 second reciprocal zenith angles. Maybe we can get to that in the open discussion. Einstein listed 2 specific things that confirms that the Earth is orbiting the sun. One of them is aberration from James Bradley, 1727, and that is also mentioned by Airy that in the greatest plus and minus in the aberration. Unexplained for flat Earth, if the Earth is stationary, or stationary Earth really, because that's really what this discussion about from your point. What is causing that aberration? It's about a 20 arc second aberration, and it's elliptical, and it varies based on the latitude of the star in the celestial sphere. On the celestial equator, it is a straight line, and as it approaches the celestial poles, it's more and more circular, and it's an ellipse everywhere in between. Why is that? Nothing is offered for that. The other thing that Einstein offered in, because you brought this up, in the orbit of the Earth around the sun, is the radial component of the color of light with respect to stars, and that also has a 6-month seasonal shift. So the red shift, blue shift varies based on where Earth is in the orbit. While we're moving towards stars, there is a blue shift. While we're moving away from stars, there's a red shift. And so all of those stars in all directions, depending on where you are and what time of the year it is, all exhibit a different variation in the color of light. This is this is by it's one of them is Schneier. That's Schneier. I want to say Schneier. I don't think that's right. Let me get it. I have it on my website. Earth Around the Sun is what you search for. There it is. I'll find it. I'll get the guy's name, and I'll tweet this. Not tweet. It is Vogel and Schneier. It is Schneier. Vogel and Schneier. They measured that rotation around the sun, or the color, the shift in the color of light. So, 2D Cartesian, an interesting claim. The coordinate system, though, is a spherical coordinate system used on the globe. Latitude, longitude is spherical. You could do a coordinate transform to polar if you really wanted, but then distances don't work. In fact, on the surface of the Earth, we use the Haversine formula, which is a spherical trigonometric formula to get the distances between things. You use it when you use Google Maps to drive somewhere, or Vicente formula, which is an even more precise one. You did mention, though, that flat maps require a projection in order to work. That's an interesting admission, because if the Earth were flat, then you would not need to project a map to a flat surface. A flat map would be accurate scale in both dimensions. You did claim, this one I'm anxious to see you demonstrate, that the angle to stars is due to perspective. I would love to see that. I think maybe we can get that in the back and forth. So maybe you can show the trigonometry for how when somebody is 60 nautical miles away from the GP of a star, and let's say 100 nautical miles away from the GP of a star, how does perspective work for that? I will be anxious to see both of those work out. On the surface of a sphere, of course, it's a linear relationship because the surface of the Earth is rotating at the same rate as you're leaning back, essentially, because your zenith changes.
5 minutes.
So, all right. You could say blunt. All right. Let's see. I think as GlobeSlayer found out that my rebuttal is kind of coming to a close, and the back and forth I think is going to be more fruitful. So I will end it there.
Okay, so well set out. Let's see. So that was at 4 minutes and 20 seconds, 26 seconds left to go. All right, so now we are at the closing period. We have both had, can you mute yourself, Toon? We have. Oh wait,
Muted.
I'm sorry. It's GlobeSlayer. That's hot mic'd right now.
I was hot mic'd, but not anymore.
Okay, well, so we've had both of our presentations. We've had rebuttal periods, and then we've had re-rebuttal periods. That was the end of the structured portion of the debate. So right now, I want to do 3 minutes each of closing statements, just your closing statements. You can use them how you want to. You can use them as a rebuttal, but this is basically just nothing more than your summation of what you presented, and we'll move on from there to the open discussion for about 30 minutes. Okay, so GlobeSlayer, are you ready to do your 3 minutes?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, and we'll go ahead and start.
All right, so in conclusion, we did get a concession that Foucault's pendulum is not a good demonstration of Earth's rotation. There are a few things that Toon you did not address that I asked about specifically in regards to topographical maps that I'd be interested to get some answers on. I do concede that celestial angles are definitely not my strong point. But I do not know Witsit, and I did not get an argument from Witsit, so I would like to clarify that as well.
It was
I do
all his
thank you
talking
guys for giving me
points.
the time and coming out, and for everybody listening. I'll go ahead and turn it over to Toon for his conclusion, and then we can do some open discussion.
Okay, so if that's the end of yours, and one reminder, the thing about topographical maps was not one of your delivered subjects. So let's just understand that he is not required, at least in the confines of the debate, to respond to it. So stand by 1 second here. Let me reset the clock. And let's see here. And Toon, you got 3 minutes to give your closing statement. You ready to go?
I am.
All right, and starting now.
All right. Thank you, GlobeSlayer. This is a new venue for me, and it's been good. I'm glad that we were able to make it happen here. Hopefully, Spaces gets a little better. I'm anxious to see their improvement, so that maybe we can have a little more visually interactive things in the future. Also, GlobeSlayer, it was good to be able to chat with you in DMs and arrange this. I think we had a good back and forth there, and we've had so far a really nice exchange. Sometimes people get a bit testy in things in the wild, and this has been a good experience, at least for me. So thank you for that. I would love to get some discussion on reciprocal zenith angles and celestial navigation, the two things I brought up, and I'll be glad to address some of the other things that you had said ahead of time. I think it'll be fair to keep it on topic, because otherwise the topics will range pretty wildly. Everybody else, thank you for joining. I think I showed very well that celestial navigation works exceedingly well on the globe. The measurement was about less than 2 kilometers off, and there is no flat Earth celestial navigation, just a bunch of claims. And that reciprocal zenith angles unchallenged. We'll get to that. Hopefully, maybe he will. All right, thank you.
All right. Well, then you had a minute left to go there. So I would just like to say, thank you to you guys for being cool and calm in the back chat that we had, as you said, setting this up. It was a rather productive discussion, and yeah, I mean, if spaces would be a little bit more conducive to actually posting things other than links to other things, or become a little bit more interactive. I mean, it's not a bad tool. It's just a party line. That's all, and that's unfortunately that's its limitation. And so I would just like to ask real quick here, uh, in the course of this debate, I hope everybody feels like they were treated fairly. Nobody was interrupted. I'm very happy about that. Calm on both sides. Um, and yeah, so I have to ask these questions real quick. GlobeSlayer, do you find anything that was amiss with the conducting of this debate? Do you feel like you were in any way shortchanged or treated unfairly about anything?
No, other than the part when you disappeared, we were good.
Yeah, that was unintentional. I got to blame my phone for that one. And McToon, do you feel like you were in any way shortchanged or treated unfairly during this debate?
No, this has been great.
Okay, so we are going to go ahead, and this is the end of the structured portion of the debate. There's still well over 800 people paying attention to this. Got about 60 something here in the space, and Toon's page has got well over 700. So there's a lot of people listening. Um, Now, you guys are both co hosts. So, as I'm understanding this, you guys can honor requests to speak. There's been requests throughout this entire thing. But as far as I'm aware, you can honor requests to speak. If you would also like to entertain other questions from the crowd, I will not be moderating this portion. This is supposed to be a civil discussion between the two of you. And if you wish to honor requests from the crowd there, that would probably be appreciated from people. Okay, and with that, we're going to go for about 30 minutes. If we find that we need to go longer, we can. But I'd like to remind everybody that me being the host and seeing that if I shut off my phone, this thing dies, I'd like to remind everybody that it's close to 1 in the morning here, and I have to go to work in the morning. So let's try and keep it to about 30 minutes. And so I will go ahead and let you guys go, and I will go to mute unless any questions are directly pointed at me.
All right. Thanks, Sly. So, GlobeSlayer, just curious, who gave you the script on spherical excess?
Nobody gave me a script. I'm not sure why you say that.
It's because you didn't actually look at the evidence I gave. I said reciprocal zenith angles, and you gave the exact same list of talking points that Whitsitt has been claiming for about a year, including the claim that he brought into this discussion about baking in the spherical excess angle measurements. So, all right, well, if you're going to stick with that one, then I think people are pretty clear on whether or not they think they're going to believe you. So do you have anything to respond about reciprocal zenith angles on topic?
No.
No. All right. Unchallenged. Super. So let's can you explain to me, just provide to me the perspective trigonometry for how a star, when you're one nautical mile away from a star, the angle to it according to perspective on flat Earth, and when you're 100 nautical miles away from that same star, how high it shall appear. Are you still there?
Well, I personally have always been interested in whatever calculations there are about perspective. Oh, he's back. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm still here. So as you move on a flat plane, the angle of the star is still going to change whether you're on a plane or on a globe.
It does, but it changes by a different amount if you're on a globe versus if you're on a flat Earth. So I'm curious to get the trigonometry for perspective, because this, for an example, Zetetic posted something in response to this, in fact, and it shows that the angles for example, for Polaris. Do you see that 42 minutes ago Zetetic posted this? The angles to Polaris at he has different degrees away from Polaris, and then the angle that the particular that the flat Earth predicts. but it doesn't actually match observation. So, for example, when you are at 45 degrees north latitude, the angle to the north celestial pole is 45 degrees. And when you're at 30 degrees north latitude, the north celestial pole is at 30 degrees. So it matches your latitude. But on flat Earth, according to the diagram that Zetetic posted, that would not happen. And that's an application of perspective on flat Earth. So since that doesn't match observations, obviously there must be something else about perspective that you're thinking of. And so could you just, I'd love to see the trigonometry that explains perspective on flat Earth, how that works.
So there's definitely not any kind of equation for perspective. Perspective is based on the observer. There's no calculations that you can do for perspective. It's
I
based on.
wholeheartedly disagree. It is simple middle school solving of triangles that you can use to calculate perspective. If something is far away from you, if you know the distance, you can solve a triangle to know its angular width that it must appear to you. And things like that are used to measure elevations and sizes of things all the time. You know, there's an actual angular perspective formula that you could just go get. You know that?
I think we might be talking about two different kinds of perspective, but why don't you share it with us?
Well, all right. It's on my website. In fact, I did a video on it quite a few years ago. I will tweet it or post it in response to my other one. So there you go. So I actually go through the derivation of getting the angle, the formula. In the end, the formula is, I'll just read it off on screen. A equals 2 times the arc second of G over 2 R. And so G is R is the distance, and G is the linear size of the distant object. So, and that gives you the angle, the angular size of that object. So that's exactly what we're talking about when we look at flat Earth, angle to a star. The angle to a star is perspective. That perspective, that gap between the star and the surface of flat Earth is a linear size. So you can just use perspective to determine the angle that it should be on flat Earth. So when you say perspective, I know very well how to do that. It's simple trigonometry. And I have the derivation of it that I just posted there.
I have to ask a question real quick. How do you post something? How do you post a link to this this top piece here?
I'm still trying to find your post there, but if you put it in the comments on the space, you post a comment under the space, and then you click on the three dots, or no, I'm sorry, not three dots. You click on the three circles in the shape of a triangle, share post, and you go to the top. It's going to say Sly Sparkane space, and you can click that, and you can share it there, which is what I've been telling you for months, is you can actually share in these spaces.
As a response, as a post response to his tweet, or is this?
No, I'm just looking at putting something here on the top end of this the app here.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just go to the comments on the comments for the space,
Right.
and after you post a comment there, you click on the share icon, which is a triangle made out of three circles, and up at the top it should say share to Sly Sparkane space, and you click that. Sometimes you got to click it twice, but it'll come up.
Okay, so I posted something, and then.
So by comment, you mean a tweet in response to the space, right?
Yeah, he said posted as a reply to the space the actual space, and then let's see here. Meet the no post engagements. I don't have a. I'm hitting the three dots after I just replied to the space, and I'm hitting the three dots up at the top. I don't have anything to share to space. Maybe I'm doing this wrong.
I'm not actually even seeing your comment in the space here.
Yep, that's part of the challenge with spaces. That there's some sort of arcane knowledge you have to use it.
Well, if you look
It's
in
not that hard.
if you look in the replies to the space itself, I just posted a thing there that I had done with Legos about actually predicting the size, location, and obstruction of Legos across a measured table using CAD. And so to say the calculation per se is not known for things changing size due to distance, angular relationships due to distance, that's just not entirely correct. What do you call it? Because I mean, if you can build that into software, which everybody likes to yell CGI and stuff like that. Well, if CGI is good enough to imitate real life, then there's real calculations involved there. Um, but anyway, you can look at that at your leisure. I don't. I'm not getting the option to share it to the space. So, but like I said, that's a problem of mine and being unfamiliar with how this functions. So anyway, I'll get off my soapbox here.
Yeah. All right. Well, so outside of that,
I felt bad for you, so I went in and helped you out. It's up there now.
Oh, appreciate that. Let me see something here. Because I got all these ones to scroll across that you guys posted, or actually all that you posted. Let's see.
So is Zetetic, is he a Glober? GlobeSlayer? Is he a Glober?
I would guess by the name he's not.
But why did he post this flat Earth destroying meme? The one where it's got Polaris and then it's got the angles to Polaris at different latitudes. I mean that contradicts observation. So on that meme there, it says on the bottom, it says somewhere around 12 degrees north latitude. The flat Earth prediction is that Polaris will be at 30 degrees elevation, but in reality, Polaris is at 12 degrees elevation approximately. So why did he post that? That's exactly what I'm talking about with perspective. He posted an application of perspective on flat Earth and it contradicts reality. Why did he do that? Does he not know that he's posting something that directly contradicts flat Earth? Or is he a Poe, like he's like trying to pretend to be a flat earther and then just post something that's ridiculous that like makes flat Earth look bad? I did notice actually that he posted something that is from the flatearthsociety.org website as well. So maybe he is a controlled opposition. I don't know. Any idea on that?
Zetatech's got a lot of observational experiments on his page that he does with his P1000 that pretty well debunk the globe.
But why did he post this that debunks flat Earth? Do you know?
I haven't seen that meme before, but the elevation of Polaris is supposed to match your latitude, is it not?
In fact, it does. Yeah. Yeah, but his meme says that the flat Earth prediction for 12 degrees north latitude is a 30 degree elevation of Polaris, which doesn't work. Right. And he confirms, see, I'm at 45 degrees north latitude. I'm in Minneapolis. And I can confirm that Polaris is at 45 degrees north latitude. And I also know that I'm 3,105 miles away from the North Pole, which requires that for flat Earth, Polaris be 3,105 miles in elevation above flat Earth. But it doesn't match because when you're at 30 degrees north latitude, you don't get a 40, 30, 39, I don't know, degree elevation of Polaris. It doesn't match. And in fact, at the equator, the flat Earth prediction is that that Polaris is significantly above the horizon. That's not what we see. At 45 degrees south latitude, the flat Earth prediction applying perspective for flat Earth requires that Polaris be several degrees above elevation. Like it, and we don't see that. So I love that he posted it. I think he's definitely shooting you guys in the foot here. Anything for that? I don't know. If you're talking, I don't hear it.
Hang on, I'm checking it out.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you to everybody. There's 770 people watching right now on YouTube here. I thought I'd maybe read a few things here. Let's see. Two fish swim into a bar. The barman asks, "Why the long feces?"
I was just about to go through the Twitter replies here. What do you call it? And to exclude the two of you guys, I got some real doozies in here.
Yeah.
Let's see. MT says that no evidence exists for Earth motion. That's wow,
MT says
mighty
that.
insight. Mighty insightful there.
Who's MT?
TM blue check mark, the guy who says that he doesn't
Oh.
need evidence because he knows.
Okay. Different. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see here. Ken and Robert Page both say that they can't hear any audio. Well, I see everybody else not complaining about the audio, so turn your volume up. Proud Flurf, one of my biggest fans, says Sly still hasn't figured out how to share content to Spaces and barely knows how Spaces works. Sly just wants to hear himself speak. Seems like he could have just joined a space one day to do that. Yeah, I'm the moderator, young lady. All right, I'm not. What do you call it? So me wanting to hear myself speak is not. Plus, I suck at public speaking anyway. So let's see here. Brian Sweet, the bookseller, says can't hear anything. Well, turn your volume up. Again, I can't do anything about that. I see all these Zetetic posts. Let's see
I
here.
love his posts. He's great.
Yeah,
I
he's turning out to be the best player on our
Yeah,
team.
yeah. Good job,
But,
Zetetic. Love you. You're not getting any NASA shill money because none of us do, but good job anyway. If
okay,
there was any, you'd be on the payroll.
and then somebody named A with a blue check mark says this space is legendary. Thank you. Let's see here. Uh, blah, blah, blah. Space is bugging. Yeah, okay, that was probably right around the point where my app quit on me. Let's see here. A couple more. I'm trying not to read all of any one person's posts here. Um, so what's going on? If they don't know how to host a space, they should have gone with someone who could. Well, Hope, I just got to let you know that originally we hadn't decided on which platform was going to be used, and but since I have no problem improvising, then I improvised to help out for this particular one. Let's see. Oh, Sacred, my second favorite troll. Let's see. Check your mentions, Sylvester. Your audience is already critiquing your hosting performance. Yeah, well, maybe you should rewatch the video I did on your hosting performance. So we won't go into that. I'm not going to turn this into a poo sling here. Nice picture of Earth. Um, let's see here. Going through everybody else. Yeah, that looks like pretty much everybody on there. Let's see. And then somebody named Shaku. Gotta love these love letters. Another clown. Sure love them balls. I mean, and y'all wonder why you get treated like shit. I mean, really. But anyway, you can go ahead and read a couple of things off of yours, man. I saw you had a super chat there, so it'd be nice if you
Yep.
called them out.
Yep.
So,
Let's see. I got William Foley says he reads words he doesn't know what they mean, just very verbose defense. MK Ultra says just because I wear baggy clothes does not mean I'm hiding spherical excess. Damn flurf. Don't take him seriously. Just a Messenger says, we need to navigate the globe. All we need to navigate the globe is a good compass and a box of the most current grid squares. Flat Earthers probably would not know how to open the box. And
I got hold on. Got to give a shout out to a fellow military member. that was a good call out.
I did not get that. PhD Tony says SI units, they're not that hard. Yeah, I do prefer SI units. Nautical miles, though, is what you use in nautical or in celestial navigation typically. So, all right, did you were shuffling around some stuff looking for the trigonometry for how things are supposed to work on flat Earth for perspective? Did you find that? GlobeSlayer?
No, I still disagree that there's a formula for perspective.
Well, I can show it easily. In fact, I derived it on my webpage there, and everybody that has can handle a little bit of geometry and trigonometry can do it too. So I don't know why you'd say that. That's weird, but all right. So a nuh on that. Got it. So I do see that the spherical excess topic, which is off topic here, but I'll put it up here quick. The you have this, you highlighted from the transcontinental triangulation. The resulting directions of it at a station as given in the abstracts still need a small correction to reduce them to what they would have been had the object observed upon been at sea level. And then it gives a formula for it. You see that there at the bottom, right there. 0.000066 arc seconds times the sine of 2 alpha h times h. Alpha is the azimuth angle and h is the height. So that particular one there is only used west of a particular point on that survey. And I don't know if any of them are actually more than 1 arc second in magnitude. They are all specifically listed in the tables of the triangles. No, of course, that's not the topic, but in the triangles. And you can see them. Nothing is being hidden. And if you take them out, I can assure you, taking out less than 1 arc second when in those triangles to the west side of the survey, which were at high elevation, that is not how they baked anything in. That is just for getting a more precise measurement. The point of that is that when you're at low elevation and you're doing spherical triangles, the angles are close enough that your variation from true sea level is somewhere enough significant figures deep that it's not going to affect your final calculation. But when your elevation is higher, you do need to take those into account so that the angles are appropriate based on sea level instead of at elevation, because it does give you a small deviation in that. And again, like I said, it's less than 1 arc second. So this is a testament to how precise the survey is. And you can look, when you look at the actual survey, there are several points along the survey where they actually do a physical measurement of the baseline, and they compare it to the perspective calculations. That's what they're doing here, basically. Perspective calculations of the triangles of those, and they're within, I think, less than a centimeter, or somewhere around a centimeter is the magnitude of the disagreement between the physical measurement of the length and the triangulated measurement of the length. It's exceedingly precise, and this is part of it. Is why, because they're including this type of precision in their work.
We just crossed 20 minutes, so we got 10 minutes left here.
All right. You got anything? I feel like I've been kind of monopolizing this. GlobeSlayer, anything you got?
Let me interject here real quick. Of the people that are actually in the space right now, all the icons that I'm seeing, I know you guys can like post emojis or whatever. can you do me a favor? Everybody who can hear me and can hear Toon and can hear Slayer, can you just like post an emoji just so that we know that because I'm hearing everything and I don't hear any complaints from either of these two. But if you guys could like post an emoji or a heart or whatever, I mean, it doesn't matter. Okay, I'm seeing emojis popping up all over the place. Hey, Toon, move that up into your screen there, just so you can see these.
All right, there you go.
Yeah, because I'm seeing. I'm not trying to be unsympathetic to the people who are claiming that there's no audio. I'm just saying that apparently the space is pumping out the audio. So if there's some kind of a disconnect on the user's end, then unfortunately there's nothing I can do about that. If people inside of the space are actually hearing it.
Yeah. So some can, some can't. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but again, there's nothing I can do about that. That's not my fault. There's nothing I can tune to do that. So.
You didn't correctly configure the spaces sound to your YouTube stream.
Has nothing to do with the YouTube stream. Sly made the
We
space.
have no issues ever.
Sly made the space. I made the YouTube stream. Totally different.
Yep. And what do you call it? And the sound, I mean, if you're hearing the sound, then the sound is being pumped through to Twitter. So I'm guessing that it has something to do with the user ends on these, maybe volume settings, maybe permission settings about using audio. I really don't have that answer. But by the fact that it's getting to you, that means it's pumping through Twitter. And by the look of all the
You added me as a speaker, so that's why I can hear you. Everybody else, you're having issues with. Everybody else is having issues. It's too much. It's too many people having issues to be in audio per each person.
Well, all I'm saying is I just got a whole bunch of thumbs up by people who are listeners right now.
Sacred is a listener and is giving a thumbs up, and he's a fluff, right? So.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm trying not to be unsympathetic to the people who say that they can't hear it. It's just that it has nothing to do with the setup of the actual space because the audio is making it through to Twitter.
Slithery says no audio on phone, but there is audio on PC. Mm-hmm. And Rachie is saying the same thing.
Yeah, so that's...
Is there a setting that you have control over? Is that what they think? That somehow controls whether or not it goes to mobile or desktop differently? That's a pretty crazy claim. But I'd love to hear it. I'm not familiar enough with spaces to know that. I
mean, but I'm familiar enough, at least with software, to know that if it's making it to the server, then it should be making it out to everybody.
Cyberdyne Big Toe says I'm on phone and it works fine. So, all right. Well,
I'm sitting there staring at my phone.
I think we can rest that topic there. So,
yeah. So I mean, my apologies. Honestly, my apologies to the people who say that they can't hear it, but it's making it to the server. I'm getting people who are thumbing it up. I think Proud Flurf is thumbing it down just to show her, however she wants to act about that. But obviously, since she's throwing emojis and stuff like that, she heard the request. So, yeah.
Some people are tuned into the Twitter space while streaming the YouTube app, so they can hear you through YouTube, not on the space.
Well,
so that might be
entirely possible. And but I'm just saying, there was way too many thumbs up for it to be something that we would have any control over. It's making it to Twitter. So what do you call it? Beyond that, nobody here has any control over that. And I'm pretty sure the Spaces veterans here will tell you that that there's no setting on here that I can actually limit audio going to anybody.
Ooh,
so Sacred has his hand up, and he's really familiar with hosting. So
okay. We've got just a little
hold on.
Piece of information. John Blues says that he's on Vine and cannot hear. So
okay, hold on. I see Sacred's hand up. How do I just take his requested?
No, I've already got him as speaker. He can speak whenever we're ready.
This shit is so choppy. It's super entertaining to watch you struggle like this after popping so much shit, Sly. So yeah, everyone is saying that they can't hear the audio on mobiles. I don't know what your configuration is or what you did, but you should have been more prepared if you're going to be hosting a space with the likes of a McToon and a GlobeSlayer. Like, this is ridiculous. For you to
Sacred-
criticize us for hosting debates and you
Sacred,
dropping the Earth ball like this,
If
that
you
is
could just
funny
describe
as
how,
Sacred?
hell, bruh.
could you just
So yeah,
describe how
I
that,
get it.
how
Just
he
real quick,
controlled that?
before y'all cut me off, McToon said I threw a thumbs up that was objectively incorrect. I threw not one thumbs up, and y'all can go back to his stream and look it up. I ain't throw a damn thumbs up during this whole debate. Just spam and laugh emojis. Nobody can hear you on Twitter Spaces. So hopefully, when y'all close this down, we'll be able to run this back. But
Well,
everybody is saying that y'all
Ion-
completely dropped the
Ion
ball.
says, I
No
open the
one can
space on
hear.
my phone
The
and I hear the
listening
audio.
experience is terrible. That's all.
Anamorphic
guys,
Mind
Sacred.
says, I am listening on Twitter and the audio is just fine. No issues. So I have a whole
And
bunch
by-
of people saying that they can hear it. So Sacred, you're wrong.
And plus, on top of that, Sacred, me saying that about hosting a debate versus using Twitter Spaces, those are two different arguments. I never claimed to be an expert on Twitter Spaces, so don't conflate the two of them together as if they mean something. Got it, kiddo? All right.
All right. Well,
Let's hope you don't run from any more space debates since you came
Y'all
to
come
this
through
one.
the Flat Earth Fridays if y'all want a real listening
Same,
experience.
Sly.
All right.
Shout out to the level heads.
It's running, bro.
Super. Can is it GlobeSlayer? It's do you have anything? I want to make sure that you don't feel like I monopolized this final section.
So there was actually something I would have liked to have brought up, but it wasn't part of the topics. But now that we're at this part, I posted what Zetatic put. There's a thread where he posted a video of a long flight where the stars are not rising with the flight as they should on a globe. And
Are you sure about
they've
that?
been wanting that. They've been wanting that addressed. So.
Yeah. So now remember what I said at the very beginning. The stereotypical flat Earth argument is the globe predicts, followed by not something that the globe predicts. Then this doesn't match the thing that the globe doesn't predict, therefore flat. So if you're talking about the video that Taboo Conspiracy put up, I know that there is no actual prediction of what the globe predicts. It's a prediction of what the globe does not predict. And to nobody's surprise, observational reality did not match the thing that the globe did not predict. That's because Taboo Conspiracy lacks the capability of actually doing what the globe predicts. Now, I'm working right now with Astronomy Live on a response to that, and I can tell you for 100% certain it absolutely matches the globe. And I hope that all the flat earthers double down on it.
Okay, well, we look forward to that response.
And will you run away or will you accept it? That's the big claim, the big question. If I show you, let me be very clear, GlobeSlayer. If I show you that it completely matches the globe, what will be your response?
Well, that depends on how definitively you can actually prove your point.
That didn't at all answer my question. If I show you that it matches the globe prediction, what will you say?
That's pretty unfair to ask someone to accept something based on a response that I haven't seen yet.
Okay, so that's the problem. Of course, you do not. Well, I get it. You don't want to commit to being honest because it's a difficult position. Because you know that if I show that it matches the globe, then you're stuck, right? You've put yourself in a corner if you do that. So you see, this is called sea lioning. You ask for something, I give you that thing, you say nuh-uh and move on to something else. Right? I gave you reciprocal zenith angle measurements. You didn't even look at it. I gave you celestial navigation. All you did was make claims about celestial navigation. You didn't actually show how celestial navigation works for flat Earth. You made claims about perspective that is demonstrably false. So that's I get it. That's the standard flat Earth argument tactic. What answer you maybe could have given was, oh, I would do a better globe prediction than you, right? Which is generally not the case. Certainly some people, it's possible, have produced incorrect globe predictions that are globers. But the Taboo Conspiracy completely failed at showing what the globe would predict in this second episode of his pilot and flat Earth thing. So the first one on my
Because
channel
the globe doesn't predict.
I addressed the first one that Taboo Conspiracy did on my Conspiracy Tunes channel. It is currently my most viewed video, 300 some thousand views. It shows, I go over the globe prediction and the both the rotation and the change in angle of the plane, or as flat earthers often say, the dip of the nose, that it was happening on both of them. And Taboo Conspiracy refused to even answer my email anymore after that. Strange.
As far as plane goes, a plane will operate the same whether it's a flat Earth or a globe Earth.
Well, yeah, it would maintain elevation the same in both. I agree with that, at least. Yeah.
All right,
All right, gentlemen. So as you heard,
got a hand up.
oops, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off there. Go ahead.
You're all right. I was just saying we got some questions. We got some hands up, so thought we could get around to that.
Well, we are at the 30-minute mark, and I have to dip off.
All right.
What do you call it? So, any questions that need to be addressed? Any do outs that you guys have for each other? Make sure you just go ahead and post it below the space, or post it to each other. But you know, I mean, in the interest of public interest, try and make those exchanges public, so that everybody can kind of chime in on that. And again, to all the people who are experiencing an audio problem, I'm sorry. If, I have nothing to do with that. And this is going to go ahead and conclude this debate. If you guys want to open up your own space and have further discussions, that's cool. But I have to go to bed. And as we learned a minute ago, if something goes wrong on my end, or if it gets shut off at my end, then the space goes down. So, you guys cool with that?
Yeah.
Yep, we're good.
All right. Well then, gentlemen, I thank you for an interesting evening, and we'll see you back in the trenches of the tweets. Okay.
All right.
All right. Thank you guys for coming, and thank you for keeping it civil and having a good conversation.
All right, gentlemen, and everybody else listening, y'all have yourselves a nice night.
All right. So will this go down when he ends it there, GlobeSlayer? I don't know. Let's see there. All right. Well, if GlobeSlayer, if you can make it happen. Oh, nope, it ended. There it is. I don't know. All right. Oh wait, there's something still going. Let's see there. All right. Well, somebody has me playing and it's feeding back through. I don't know how that happened. All right. Well, I'll leave. Okay. Well, man, spaces. Whether that was it sounded like Sacred's a flat earther, who is one of the flat earthers that uses spaces a lot. Sounds like he was accusing Sly of somehow configuring it so that people on mobile could not hear it and other people could. But of course, some people have said that they could hear it on mobile, and some said they could not hear it on mobile. So, and some people suggested it might be that you need to update your app. That makes a little bit of sense. It could be an app configuration thing. So anyway, yeah, he did 100% match my prediction of what he would do. He used the standard template. The globe predicts, thing globe doesn't predict. Observation doesn't match thing that globe doesn't predict, therefore flat. That's the 4-part flat Earth argument. So in reference to Foucault's pendulum, it is a difficult experiment to do well. I think he found some instances of the experiment that were not performed well. Okay. So there are also plenty of examples of the experiment that are done well. The one that's interesting, though, they don't like it if it's got the motor in it. And of course, you have a motor in a Foucault pendulum so that you can have it as a museum piece or a demonstration. And there's two ways that they do that. One is that at the very top of the wire, there is a ring magnet, and it's just you just tune it to a specific frequency of magnetic pulses based on the length of the pendulum, because a pendulum varies based on the length of the pendulum, and gravity is in the formula. And then the other is that there's a magnet at the bottom. So when the pendulum starts coming toward the magnet, it pulls it, and then it turns off when it gets to there, and then keeps going so that it can continue swinging, and it doesn't stop swinging. It doesn't need a whole lot to keep swinging, but neither of those particular boost or motors have the capability of actually changing precession. Precession is independent of that. It doesn't have a way to make it precess. So when flat earthers claim that that's it, that they don't like it, well, okay, do your own experiment and make sure you do it really well. But that isn't actually evidence of some sort of a fakery. So because there's no mechanism in there for it, you can go buy your own. Prove us wrong. Get your own. You can purchase one of these and go find where in that magnetic ring at the top or where in the thing at the bottom, how it could force it to precess. I'd love to see that. What else? He Ares failure. Where did he get that? Thoughts on where he got that from? Because he was also reading a script, obviously there that I suspect he was given from somebody else. There's no question, though, that he got his oh, hold on, I got some messages here. All right. There's no question that he got the provenance of his spherical excess claims was originally from Whitsitt. Of course, Whitsitt about a year ago started bringing that up and made the claim that it's baked in, and he brought up the specific thing that he brought up. Let me bring it up here. This is a great one. This is in the transcontinental triangulation, and you look at that number there. These people have zero clue on how to do math. The value 0, and then that quote mark there is arc seconds. 0 arc seconds. So this is all in arc seconds. And I don't know why the quote is before the decimal. Maybe that's a notation that was common. But it's 0.0000066 times sine of 2a, and a is the angle, the azimuth angle. Reference from due north. And then times h, times the height. And I think that's in feet, height in feet. And these numbers they did get from both the Bessel and Clark ellipsoids, or spheroids as they say in here. So the radius of the Earth has been known previous to this, but this was an improvement on it. So this is the 0.66 number that they got is definitely from the radius of the Earth from the other previous times that they measured it. And so the variation in the radius of the Earth that this particular survey is going to output versus the one that those other surveys output is buried. I think it's going to be 5 significant figures deep, maybe at 4 in, it's in meters. This output, I do believe this output in meters. So it's not going to be 4, it's going to be 7 significant figures deep. Of course, this value's in feet. Messes everything up a little bit, but there's only 2 significant figures in this calculation. So if you somehow knew the output of this survey versus the Clark and Bessel surveys versus, I don't know, if you had a perfect God view of the radius of the Earth, the variation in those radii is not in that second digit. It's going to be significantly deeper than that. So it won't make a difference on it. So, all right, we're seeing somebody got timed out here. Yeah, somebody is trying to advertise for Alan. Sorry. And with an insult even. Classy there. And I don't know what that symbol is. It looks like Chinese. Classy. Anyway, so that is the one thing he had, and I can show, let's see, can I bring it up quickly? The actual survey. I'll do that. It's worth looking at. It's pretty cool how they did it. They're amazing in how precise they are. And, they're like, oh, they're baking it in. No, this isn't baking it in. This is showing their dedication to being good at what they're doing. So here it is. This is the transcontinental triangulation. It's 902 pages of the PDF. So there's a whole bunch that all of the processes that they do is documented in here. So if you're like, oh, hey, they're doing something suspicious, well, it's all here. So here is the specific thing he's talking about: the reduction of horizontal directions to sea level. On page 47. Now there's a few other things that Whitsitt claimed initially, and I think he's still on this today. I mean, he looked at it. He wasn't able to find it because it requires math. And then he just declared what he wanted to declare anyway. So this, let's see here. Is this the part? Yeah, here it is. General discussion. This is really pretty fascinating. General discussion for local adjustments of direction observations. And so this graph right here is really telling. So you see point 1 there is not straight up. It's not due north. When they're at these individual stations, they did not have their zenith be 0 degrees north. Instead, they picked a reference, and they always referenced from that spot. So it's typically one of the other stations. So station 1, station 2, station 3, and you can see the angles that they measured there. And they did this all the way around the circle, these horizontal angles. And they measured from that one to the other one, to the other one, to the other one, all the way around. All those measurements are from that. But that's not the angle that they plugged into that later thing, because that's in relation to due north. But then they got this. So this big angle A there, that would be the angular distance between station 1 and station 2. And then the big letter B there is the difference between station 1 and station 3. Now, what they do is they measure a whole bunch of these and they create a network of triangles. And as is the case, all measurements are imprecise. Yes, the small circle is degrees, a single tick is minutes, and a double quote is seconds. A minute is 1/60th of a degree, and a second is 1/60th of a minute. There's 3,600 seconds in a degree. So they're doing these things in sub-second measurements. Anyway, this particular section right here goes on for several pages of how they adjusted the angles because there were errors in it. They call them residuals. So each individual station in the network, they know they don't, when they point from this O here on screen, O to 1. So there's then at station 2, they also measured the angle between these two spots here, and they don't perfectly overlap. So what they're doing is they're looking at the discrepancy in the overlap and then solving for that to get the correct amount so that they have a better, more precise angle there. Anyway, it goes over it for several pages. They even give a reference, Wright's Treatise on Adjustments of Observations, New York, 1884, pages 315 to 320. It might be hard to read. Let's see if I can zoom in there for you. So this book is free to get. It's out of copyright, easy to get. And that goes over this particular section, how to do it. So in the, and then, so this gives an example of how to do it. And then we'll jump down here. Here is, I'll give the actual measurements and the actual variations that they put in to fix those slight non-overlaps or non-intersects is what they did. All right. They detail all these. Here's a network. Here's a network of triangles. And so they take that whole network there and they say, okay, well, Webb to Linstead and Finlay to Linstead and Pool Island to Linstead and Swan Point to Linstead, all of these, well, they all point at Linstead, but they don't perfectly line up. They don't completely overlap at the single point of Linstead. How do we deal with that? Well, there's obviously some discrepancies in the entire network. And so there's a checksum on the network with all the other things. So same thing for Webb, because there's a line from Finlay to Webb and from Marriott to Webb and from Linstead to Met. Well, they don't all perfectly intersect at one point. So that's what they're doing here. And they put this all into this big series of related equations. So, and I'll show you that in a second. So here are the raw observations. Marriott is the 0. You see that? From Kent Island South Base to Marriott is 0, because 0 is their starting point. And then these others are starting at Marriott, the number of degrees, minutes, seconds, clockwise from there. And then you see right here the correction from BaseNet. This right here, 0.03 degrees. So I'll show you the numbers. Here is, maybe it's the other direction. Yeah, it's the other direction. So anyway, so and I'll show you that. But if you look here, this is also important. 0.03, 0.06, 0.09. Those numbers sum to 0. So it's a zero-sum gain on that particular, on this measurement from this station. So it did a 360 degree sweep all the way around, and they're adding and subtracting these values, and there's no net change. So they're not adding spherical excess here. They can't, because it's no net gain if these all have the same similarity. So now they have those. They go over. Here it is. These are the equations that they're using to output those corrections, right? And they're doing these things. A lot of it's manual, because this was all before computers. So if these things would be significantly easier to write with software and be done quickly, they had to do all this by hand. All of it by hand. So here's the final numbers here, that 0.06. Well, that's what this actual number is. 0.05967 is what they added in. Anyway, so here's the first triangle in the book: Taylor, Kent Island North Base, Kent Island South Base. Here's the degrees that they got from the previous one, from the plate measurements. And then they have these corrections that they did. This is from doing the math right here. And then they get the final numbers there. That's what they're doing. But he was not talking about this. I'll show you what he was talking about. He was talking about stuff in the west side of the United States. Here's some tables. These triangles are bigger. The networks are bigger. The casual engineer says the data analysis would have been tedious by hand. It was fun to work through that manually. Yeah, so the casual engineer is one that we put all this stuff in. I say we. It was them. I had a group of people, and they hand typed so many pieces of data. All these triangles were hand typed in. So everyone you see is in the spreadsheet, and you can get it for free. Just have a look at it, mctoon.net/SE. It's linked there. All right, here it is. Here we have the adjusted angles for Kansas and Colorado. We're not far enough west yet, but we still have the observed angles. We have the spherical angles and the spherical excess. I'm going to have to jump farther to get to where that particular number that he thought was baking in the spherical excess. Obviously, he did none of the math to see what that was going to be. These are all zenith angles, which he didn't touch. It was so fun. He didn't even look. He didn't even look. How did he do it? He's like, oh, they're using the transcontinental triangulation. He gave it to his buddies. His buddies are like, oh, Witsit has a, or not Witsit, has the numbers on it. So, all right. Here is this abstract horizontal? Okay. All right. It's still abstract to horizontal. You see, again, we see these zeros as the base there. So, all right, I'm almost there to the final number that he thought was baking in spherical excess. And of course, when you're doing a survey, they were none of them were thinking, well, we're going to have to put information in here to debunk flat earthers in 124 years. No, not part of their survey. A survey doing that would be so much harder. They'd have to somehow bake it all in and then fake the numbers. Okay. Oh, darn it. It's still Kansas. That's the same one I got before. All right. I want to find it for you. There it is. Okay. This is the one here. So abstract resulting horizontal directions at each station from local and right. So anyway, here's azimuth mark. See that? And then you see reduction to sea level. That's this one here, this column. 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth column from the left. And you see that plus 0.187 arc seconds. Arc seconds. You see that? 0.187 arc seconds. And then you see here corrections from base net adjustment, 0.013, negative 0.197, negative 0.097, plus 0.082. I hope you see those. And then look at that. Mean is 0. So this is the same zero-sum gain stuff. And then I'll show you in the triangle that was just the abstract, the triangles. Here it is. Is that in there? No, it's in the previous page. Anyway, they're adding less than an arc second, but here's the problem. The spherical excess is 57 arc seconds. So if 3 of these are adding less than 1 arc second, yet the result is 57 arc seconds, that could not have baked anything in. Impossible. So, but he wouldn't touch the RZAs. So, all right. Yeah, I don't know why this guy is such a troll here. So they're taking some they're talking some experiments there. McFed, go to their Discord. So Ion says he posted actual memes on my Discord of him with the papers. All right. Let's see if that's where? On my general? I don't see it. Ion. I posted actual footage of GlobeSlayer with the script papers on hashtag memes on Discord. Okay. He put it in the right channel and I was expecting it to be the wrong channel. Good job. All right. All right, I'll get it. I'll put it up for everybody to see. There you go. There it is. He's looking for it. Good job. Good job, buddy. He didn't have anything. Poor guy. I almost felt bad for him. It was a couple new ones. The Ares failure thing that probably was from Alan's space audits, right? That could have been from him. It was certainly a script. He didn't write it himself. But it's important to remember that the Professor Klinkerfuse talk in there is all about the undulating theory of light, which is ether. That's the fundamental assumption in that hypothesis, is that ether exists. And that's so when it's a failure, it was a failure because ether doesn't exist. And then he claims that was a proof of stationariness. He didn't even begin to address how is it that we measure if he thinks it's the ether being stationary, the Earth being stationary, how is it that Michelson, Gale, and other interferometers measure a rotation or a movement of some sort? Is it stationary? Is it not stationary? Make up your mind. They can't. Let's see. The casual engineer says the symbol there, the Chinese one, is a single character in Chinese based on a Chat GPT 3.5 translation. Do you know what that symbol is? Eric Burns says it gives a Google Translate gives a logo for the Führer. Is that true? I mean, there's a lot of flatties that are fans of the Führer. Caleb being one of them. I'll try. I'll check it myself here so I know. Detect language. Oh, yes. Tell you what. All right. That symbol is the four-sided symbol that was the emblem of the Führer. So normally I don't like to hide, but since that guy's Chinese character is the symbol that the Führer uses, you're out, dude. You need a punch in the face. All right. If you show up here, I will deliver that for you. Just let's make an appointment. You can show up. I'll hand deliver it. Get it? Hand deliver it. So, all right. Yeah, I can't believe people like that exist. Maybe he's just a Buddhist. I doubt it. A flat earther, you choosing that symbol is not by coincidence. Good job, flat earthers. You know, when they complain about Operation Paperclip and about where those scientists came from, to be clear, those people put those things away and said, nope, we're done with that. We repent, we recant. That is not who we are. But currently today, Flat Earth is full of those people. So Flat Earthers, clean house before you go talking about Operation Paperclip and playing some sort of a appeal to authority about it. Or not appeal to authority, appeal to credentials, poisoning the well. I don't know. The fact is, no matter where they came from, it doesn't change the shape of the earth. Right? They could have been that, and they could have continued to think that, and have that be deeply rooted in their heart. And it would not change the shape of the earth. It's important to note that. Evidence is evidence no matter where it comes from. They certainly didn't. The big one being Werner von Braun. Shortly after coming to the United States, he had a massive change. He became a dedicated Christian at an Assemblies of God church in Texas, if I remember right. And the rest of his life, that was who he was. So quite the opposite. Genetic fallacy is the one you're looking for. Yes. So anyway, yep. So, thank you to everybody that joined. Maybe Spaces in the future will suck less. I don't know. I had asked somebody else to moderate who has more experience on Spaces than Sly. I don't know if it would have worked any better though, since it was clearly not something Sly had a control over. So, I do have in about an hour. I have another live stream coming. So be sure to check in for that. Nothing is stated about it. What will it be? You will find out. So anyway, people, thank you very much for coming. Thank you for doing what you do. I do appreciate if you share this around. It's my opinion that he did not have a whole lot of good arguments. So definitely share this around. That was so poor. I almost felt bad for the guy. But he is a flat earther, so not all that much. Anyway, people, thank you very much. We'll see you in the next one. Oh, you know what? Hold on a second. Psych. I I do have some things to read here. I didn't. So if you already left, then you're going to miss this good part. So let's see. Second Best Bob says, I'm really thinking the earth is flat now. Super. He's joking. Otto says, how long until he accuses Toon of script reading? That was funny because Caleb accused Ozian of script reading. Ozian was reading a script. And GlobeSlayer was definitely reading a script. You could hear a script. You could hear the papers rustling. I don't have a problem with that. If you have a, an introduction and you have a presentation, read from a script. It makes it better. Jeff Stucco Reachers says, Toon, call it his lack of rebuttal as just a script reading. Who really prepared this for him? I don't know, but certainly he was the recipient of. It seems to me he's the recipient of those scripts, and yeah, he didn't really know. He didn't. Yeah. King Cruz says, McGoon, when will the king get his book? Oh, bad news for you. We were gonna go down towards Miami, but now we're not. So we're gonna get to Pensacola, and then we're gonna head west. So if you can get to Pensacola, I can hand deliver you the book, or somewhere near Pensacola, but I know it's so far away from Miami. So it's not looking like it's in the easy. So message me though if we can make it happen. Otherwise, I really do need to send it out. I've got a few more to send out. MK Ultra, oh yeah, is hiding spherical excess with his baggy clothes. Battle Against Misinformation says Flurfs don't mean a model or measurements. All they need is a tossed Witsit word salad. If they measure anything, they'd instantly debunk themselves. True. And the fact that he thinks that there's no equation for perspective really shows that, right? Deeply uneducated. Incredibly uneducated. He really doesn't have the first clue about science or math. It is, I'll be fair. If you haven't solved a triangle for a few years, it might be a challenge. But if you have, if you're going to claim that you've debunked all scientists in the world, you better be pretty good at solving a triangle at least. He couldn't even fathom that. Navy Jet Fixer is the one that tweeted or posted. Super chatted earlier that degrees, minutes, seconds is the little circle, the single quote, and the double quote. And Stringers 1 says 2 for the price of 1. Toon much? There it is. It's called a box and postage. Yeah, I know. Then I'd have to leave the house. I gotta leave the house all the time. It's a Rubik says, if you travel through Cleveland on the way to Pensacola, let me know. I can get you to the NASA Center here. Well, Cleveland is significantly out of the way if you're going to Pensacola. We drive straight south, go through Iowa, and continue through Iowa to Missouri, and then typically hit St. Louis. And then we hook over towards either Memphis or Nashville. So way out of the way to get to Cleveland. So I appreciate that. MK Ultra says I sent oh, there it is. MK Ultra sent a second one. Evolution deniers use the same tactic, demanding things like a half-man, half-ape. So it's an old science-denying debate tactic. It is, and just today on X, somebody was talking about that. So yeah, Globe predicts, not thing Globe predicts. Observation doesn't match thing not Globe predicts. Therefore flat. Same template. Yep. All right, people. Now, caught up. Thank you very much, everybody. We'll see you in about an hour. Here we go.
MC Toon, drop that beat.
All right. Let it flow. Let yourself go. So I know that is the tempo.
So, yeah, let's do this.
Let's do this. Yo, it's MC Toon, the debunking tycoon. I shatter flat earthers, make them face the moon. Your attempts are decent, but they'll swoon in the face of my logic like a deflated balloon.
Oh, MC Toon, the one to soon cartoons. On the real stage, sending flirts to their views. Your theories are like old brews, sweeping ignorance or just spreading the views.
FDFE stands for fumbling the facts, evidently. I drop truth bombs so splendidly. Your approach is soft, mine's unrelenting. I bring the science while you're just venting.
MC Toon, the buffoon with silver spoon. I have some pseudoscience, make them change their tune. You're the sidekick, I'm the room. When it comes to debunking, I'm the room.
Rizzle dizzle. But hey, FTFE, we share the creed to educate and debug the plant the seed. Though in this rap, it's clear indeed I got the upper hand in word and deed. All right, hold on a second. The Zoom call died. Everything died. No.